Snow White is officially Disney's biggest box office disaster of all time. And with the second weekend rolling in now as we speak, the train wreck is only getting worse and worse.
ChatGPT said, "Have you ever watched a fairy tale turn into a public disaster?" That's exactly what happened when Disney decided to remake Snow White. What was supposed to be a fresh new version for modern times quickly turned into a storm of controversy, confusion, and a lead star who couldn't stay out of the spotlight. This is the story of a remake that left fans confused, Disney executives scrambling for answers, and moviegoers wondering what went wrong. Let's uncover the twist that made this project collapse in dramatic fashion. The original Snow White wasn't just another old Disney movie, it was a game changer. Released in 1937, it was the first ever full-length animated movie and took the world by surprise. Audiences loved Snow White's innocence, the lovable dwarfs, and the magical world. The film set the stage for Disney's rise to fame, inspiring generations of movie lovers and filmmakers alike. As time passed, Disney began remaking its animated hits into live-action films. From Cinderella to The Lion King, these remakes were big successes. So when word spread that Snow White would be next, people were excited. They wanted to see how Disney would bring a modern twist to the classic story. But what no one expected was how much trouble a remake could cause if it didn't respect the original. Enter Rachel Zegler, cast as Snow White. After her breakout role in West Side Story, she was a rising star and fans were hopeful. Early sneak peeks made her look like a perfect fit, talented, energetic, and ready to bring a new twist to Snow White, but cracks started to appear when Rachel made some strong comments about the original film, calling it outdated and saying the character needed more depth. Some people agreed, but others felt uneasy. To many, her words felt disrespectful to the classic movie that so many fans cherished. As the press tour continued, Rachel's comments only got more controversial. She called the 1937 film weird, mocked the idea of a princess needing a prince, and said the story was too simple for today's audience. While Disney wanted to portray a more independent Snow White, Rachel's blunt remarks started to feel like an attack on the very film fans loved. Social media erupted with backlash, accusing her of disrespecting Disney's legacy. Then came the trailer. What should have been an exciting preview of the new Snow White became a target for criticism. Fans weren't impressed with the dull visuals, and many didn't understand the decision to replace the iconic dwarfs with strange forest creatures. Others noticed that the prince appeared barely important. The trailer quickly became one of the most disliked videos online, and rumors of disaster spread fast. Hollywood insiders began to fear that this film was headed for failure. Rachel's social media posts only made things worse. In one infamous video, she showed herself in a nearly empty theater, laughing as if she had attended a private screening. Fans felt like she was mocking the film's failure, and memes spread quickly, turning Rachel's behavior into the latest online joke. Now, the focus wasn't just on whether the movie would succeed, it was about how Rachel might have destroyed her own film with careless comments and behavior. Behind the scenes, Disney was scrambling to fix things. Rumors spread that the film's budget had skyrocketed, and costly reshoots were happening to try to save it. But by the time they tried to make changes, the damage had already been done. Disney had lost control of the story, and the film's reputation was in shambles. When the film finally hit theaters, it was clear that things hadn't improved. Photos of empty theaters flooded the internet, and box office numbers dropped quickly. Critics who saw the film didn't hold back, saying it lacked the magic of the original. The changes to the dwarfs were confusing, and the updated romance felt forced. Audiences left the theater feeling confused, with many wondering how Disney had gotten it so wrong. The film's box office was a disaster. While some tried to blame other factors, it was obvious that Snow White had become a failure. Despite Disney's marketing push, the film's reputation had become so bad that not even their best efforts could save it. The remake became known as one of the biggest flops in Disney's history. For Disney, this failure serves as a harsh reminder. Changing a beloved classic too much can spark a massive backlash. These stories are more than just movies to their audiences. They are cherished memories, pieces of childhood, and icons of nostalgia. Fans connect with these films on a deeply personal level, and when that bond is threatened, the reaction can be swift and unforgiving. Studios need to tread carefully when updating stories that have been adored for decades, especially when they carry the weight of cultural significance. The legacy of these films isn't something to be taken lightly. Disney should have known that tampering with a foundational part of their history would be a risk, one that could have devastating consequences if not handled with care. And when the star of the film publicly criticizes the very thing that audiences hold dear, the damage can be almost irreversible. A well-intentioned modernization can easily be overshadowed by negative press and an actor's controversial comments. Disney's decision to cast Rachel Zegler in the lead was bold, but her statements about the original Snow White film only stirred the pot further. What should have been a fresh take on a familiar classic instead became a firestorm of public outrage. It was as though the studio handed over the reins to someone who wasn't just interested in recreating the magic of the original, but in dismantling it altogether. Once the backlash began, it spiraled out of control. No amount of press, tours, or marketing could fix the growing perception that Disney had disrespected its own heritage. As for Rachel Zegler, her career now faces an uncertain future. The entertainment industry is known for offering second chances, but they're rarely given without a price. Rachel has a lot of talent, but the controversy surrounding Snow White could haunt her for years. Her approach to the project may have been misjudged, and her public comments have left a mark on her reputation that she will need to repair. If she hopes to continue working in Hollywood, she needs to show more humility, choose her future projects carefully, and learn how to balance her personal opinions with the expectations of her audience. Hollywood doesn't take kindly to stars who bite the hand that feeds them, especially when it involves a franchise as beloved as Snow White. For now, her involvement in Snow White will be remembered not as a career breakthrough, but as a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of how quickly a promising career can go off track. She entered the project with the potential to shine, but it's clear that her actions and words had unintended consequences. Instead of being celebrated for her role, she became the face of the film's failure. And this could have long-term effects on her career, depending on how she handles the fallout. Hollywood is full of stories of stars who fell from grace, and, unfortunately for Rachel, this may very well be the beginning of a difficult chapter. This entire disaster has taught Disney and anyone watching a crucial lesson. Never underestimate the emotional connection people have with their favorite stories. Snow White wasn't just a movie, it was part of a larger cultural fabric that shaped the way audiences viewed Disney and its legacy. When you promise a fresh take on a film that holds so much sentimental value, people want to feel that their memories are being respected, not dismissed as outdated. Fans don't want to feel like their beloved classics are being thrown aside in favor of trendy, modern updates. They want to believe that the magic they experienced as children still matters, that it still has a place in today's world. When that connection is broken, even the most well-meaning remake can fall flat. If you don't get it right, you risk turning a fairy tale into a cautionary tale, a perfect storm of bad decisions that leads to empty theaters, massive backlash, and a tarnished reputation. Disney's failure with Snow White shows just how dangerous it can be to underestimate the importance of legacy when embarking on a remake. It also demonstrates how easily things can spiral out of control when a star's words and actions alienate the very people who are supposed to be supporting the project. In the end, the lessons learned from this debacle may be far more important than the movie itself. Never forget the power of nostalgia. Never underestimate the bond audiences share with their favorite characters, and above all, never take that legacy for granted. If you do, you could end up turning a fairy tale into a nightmare.